Welcome to NDK. My name is Marcus from Kaiju no Kami, Creativity by Design. What's it like being back in Denver?
Oh gosh, I was actually here at the beginning of the month for a different convention, so it's not been too long since I've been back, but I really like it here, so it's, the altitude's still killing me a little bit. It's hard to sleep, but it's pretty good otherwise. I really like it here.
And you said at opening ceremonies you had snuck in last year?
I did. I actually came because I really have been wanting to meet Megumi-han, like super bad for the past few years now. And I wasn't able to go to another con she had attended in the States because I was at a convention across the country the same weekend. But once I found out, I think it was like 3 weeks before NDK, and I knew my friend Patrick Sykes was going, I was like, oh my God, should I go? I really want to meet her. I just want to because we both play Gon and Akko. In Hunter x Hunter and Little Witch Academia, and I was like, I really want to meet her because I've been fortunate enough to meet a few of my Japanese counterparts at this point. So she was like one of the next top ones on the list. So Patrick let me stay with him. I bought a plane ticket and told Amanda at NDK that I was coming out, and they gave me a badge and let me stay in the green room, and it was really nice. Like I felt like I was a guest even though I didn't have any work to do. It was really cool. So I'm really glad that they invited me actually to be a guest this year.
All right. Jim with the game site. So you mentioned that you played Akko in Little Witch Academia.
Yes.
Your credits also included doing the script writing
Yes.
for that show. So what was that like, being both kind of lead character and writing the script?
At first, for the OVAs, we did the two OVAs that came out a few years prior to the series. I hadn't written it, but a lot of us were like so frustrated with the script because it was pretty much almost a direct translation, and a lot of us were fixing the script as we recorded in the cast because things just weren't fitting, or things just didn't feel like they were in character, or just the grammar was clunky or something like that, because it was kind of a rush job, which anime kind of is nowadays, unfortunately. But once the series came out, me and Lucian Dodge, who plays Andrew in the series, and also co-directed it along with Laura Post, who plays Diana in the series, we were like, we want this to be like amazing because we love this show so much, or the series so much. So we kind of took on the mantle of doing that. And that was actually I want to say my first official script adaptation for an anime. I'd done like a live action series before then, so I had a little bit of experience. But that was my first time doing it, and playing the lead as well was kind of crazy because I felt a little bit more like I owned the character at that point. And when there were other people who wrote other episodes, because there were like about half the series, I was technically I guess the lead script writer, if you want to call it that. So when other people would write stuff that I felt like wasn't quite in character, I'd get a little upset. Not like raging upset, but I'd be like, I think it should be more like this, but usually I'd stay quiet because I didn't want to step on any toes, because these are all my friends I'm working with for this project. But it's a little intimidating at times, but we really love the series, so we tried to do our best to give it justice.
Sam with Creativity by Design. So you got to go back and reprise Ryoko for the Kill la Kill video game. How exciting was it to actually return to a project like that?
Oh man, I feel like I always talk about on panels at conventions how like it'd be so great to go back to a character I'd recorded earlier in my career and be able to basically redo it with the knowledge that I have now. So that was actually kind of almost that exact thing. The story's a little bit different because it takes place from Satsuki's side for the video game, but it was just so great. I actually felt like I thought I was a little tougher than I was for this time around, because we actually record anime different than we record video games. So anime, there's a little bit more like leeway to have a few breaks in between, because we have to preview the Japanese, and maybe we'll do it like once or twice, and then we do our line, and maybe we'll do that a few times depending on if the sync is right, or if the line feels right, or if the emotion's right, and stuff like that. So usually there's a few more like instances to kind of rest your voice. But for video games, it's usually like we'll do sometimes an A and a B take, sometimes just one take, and if it's good, we'll keep going, but it's like constant. And usually we don't have to preview for that. I think for the game we previewed audio because there was no video for us to watch at that point, because it was pretty early on in the process. The game hadn't even come out in Japan yet. So yeah, it was, but it was really cool getting to do that again. I kind of overestimated how much I could handle of the screaming with that fast of a pace like I was talking about. So there were definitely times when I felt like I was losing my voice more than I had in the anime. I mean, you know, don't get me wrong, the anime was really hard to do, but the video game, just because of the fast-pacedness of it and the high energy, since it's basically more screaming than the anime because it's a fighting game, that one was a little tougher on me, and I thought I could handle it with less breaks, and it wasn't a good idea. But I got through it, we did it, so, yeah.
When you were playing Gon and Akko, had you listened to Megumi Han's performance before you did those characters, or is this in the era before there was a lot of time for preview?
I had watched the Little Witch OVAs at the time because they were openly available on the internet when those came out. The series, because I was writing it, I got to preview the stuff even before, like I said, we preview the Japanese first when we go into record, so we always hear the Japanese. But because I was writing that series, Little Witch, as well, I got even more of a taste of it, and I got to see like other characters and how they interacted. So I'd heard her work pretty extensively, and for Hunter x Hunter, I kind of fell off of watching it just because I had so much other stuff going on when we were recording it, and there's a lot of episodes in that show. But I did watch quite a bit of it, so I know her voice and her work pretty well.
So I guess meeting her was probably pretty, was a fan moment for you then?
Yeah, I definitely freaked out a bit and had her sign my, I had helped kickstart the Enchanted Parade OVA, because Trigger had done that on Kickstarter, and I got the pink DVD case, so I brought that with me, and she signed it and drew a little icon on it. It was really cute.
So moving on to, last time we actually interviewed you, Sailor Moon Crystal had not been done yet for the third season. How did you have to differentiate your Uranus from the original series to the Crystal version? Did you find yourself having to do different takes on the character?
Yeah, I actually, because the Crystal is actually a lot darker, I feel like the classic series, it does have its dark moments, but it focuses a lot on comedy as well, whereas Crystal has a little bit less of that and more of the darkness. And Uranus specifically, I feel like she was somehow even more androgynous than she was in the classic, so there's a lot of times when she looked a lot manlier than she did previously, so I felt myself kind of like wanting to pitch my voice down as low as it could go, but it can't actually go that low, so it was a little difficult at times, but I tried my best to be as androgynous as possible.
Well, I love in S when Yuichiro mistakes Haruka for being a male when he's
yeah.
all jealous over Rei.
Yeah, I was like, I don't think I sound that manly, but I mean, I'm doing what I can, so.
Keeping kind of to the magical girl theme, Yuki Yuna as a hero is a bit of a darker take on the magical girl genre. What are your thoughts on that, and on kind of where Fu takes those other girls?
Oh man, it's pretty crazy, especially since she's like kind of the catalyst of all that, and she, you know, gets on herself a lot about that too. Like she's like, you know, I'm bringing you guys into this, but then also she feels really bad that all this is happening, and she kind of knew, but also didn't know at the same time, I feel like. So it was, I don't know, it's just the dichotomy of just her emotions, wanting to like do all this good stuff, but also feeling really terrible for bringing these young girls, her friends and her sister, into all these terrible situations that kind of resulted in them saving the world. So I actually hadn't watched, a lot of people compare it to Madoka, and I think that came out before, and I hadn't seen Madoka, so I was like really taken aback by Yuki Yuna. So, but, yeah, it's a good series that not a lot of people watched, I feel like, but the people that like it really like it.
Was it a challenge for you doing a simuldub for Shield Hero for Crunchyroll?
The challenges are not knowing what's coming next. that's a big thing for me, because I don't know like where to necessarily take the character and I don't always know what's going on. Like there were times at the beginning, because Raphaelia grows within the span of like 3 or 4 episodes, and there are times when I would have to ask the director, I was like, so is she like, she's growing here, right? Like she looks older. Should I age her up? Like I don't know what's going on necessarily. So, and then what was it in the last episode? I hadn't watched the last episode, and they like, you know, they have this sweet little moment, and it's kind of like really subtle though. And I totally didn't catch it because I, you know, hadn't watched it beforehand. It just kind of hit me, and we recorded it. And actually, there's no dialogue in that scene, so I had no idea what was going on. So the director showed it to me, and she's like, "Look at this! Look at this! We all like freaked out when this happened." And I was like, "Yeah, they hugged." And she's like, "They didn't just hug." I was like, "What?" Oh, okay, I see it now. So it's just a lot of like not knowing what's going on, and just I'm not a fan of like rushing things either. So a lot of that had to be rushed to get it to that, get it out that quickly. So I don't know how people in Texas do it, but I mean, as long as we're not doing it that often, like I like the rewards of being able to announce things pretty quickly. That's always cool, because otherwise you sometimes have to wait like 6 months, maybe even a year sometimes, before you can talk about things. But at the expense of the quality being a little bit better, because everybody has a little bit more time to focus on things, I prefer things taking longer to come out rather than being able to announce things right away, personally.
So in a world of teenage protagonists, Aggretsuko is a kind of a breath of fresh air for some of us old Toku.
Yeah.
What do you like about the series and about Aggretsuko?
Oh, I just love that it's just so cute and cartoony, but the themes are so adult. Like I haven't seen too many series that really focus on stuff like that. It really does feel like, you know, a cartoon for an adult. And I had known about Aggretsuko before, because Sanrio was kind of like, they were promoting it a little bit here and there, so I saw her character design, and I was like, oh, this is really cute. And then the anime came, and I auditioned for it, and I was like, oh, okay, it'd be cool to get this, and then I booked it, and I was like, oh, okay, cool, that's awesome. And we go into record, and I didn't think too much of it. I was like, oh, it's just another, like, neat little anime. But as we were going along, I was like, oh, man, this little, like, cute Sanrio show has no right to be as good as it is. Like, how did this happen? And of course, there's always like the scare of like not knowing how well people are going to take to it. So I was like constantly worried about that. I was like, oh, what if people just think it's weird and like it's too Japanese, because you know it takes place in a Japanese workplace. But I think Patrick Seitz, the director and the scriptwriter, did a really good job of kind of mixing that Japanese style with a very Western feel to it. So we still understand the jokes, even though everything's taking place in Japan in a very Japanese way. But yeah, I just was floored at the response to it, because you know those things can either go up or down. You never know. But it's really cool. I'm really glad I got to be part of it, and we're getting a 3rd season apparently. So I'm like, yay!
Did you have to train yourself to do the metal voice?
That's not me, actually.
Oh. No,
I just do the nice Retsuko before she rages. The rage voice is actually a man named Jameson Boaz. They actually did a man does the death metal for, I think the creator of the show does, or the director or something like that, does the death metal, so we kept it as a man in the English version as well. And Jameson is actually a death metal singer, so he has more training with that. I think I would just hurt myself if I tried to do it, so I'm glad he was there.
Yeah, we call it the Death Metal Red Panda Show.
Yes.
So for something fun, what hobbies do you do outside of voice acting?
I wish it was something that didn't have to relate to my job, but unfortunately, like my life revolves still around anime and video games. I haven't watched quite as much anime as I used to when I was younger, but every once in a while, like, you know, I'm keeping up with like Fruits Basket, because that was a really nostalgic series for me, and the new one coming out was like, oh my god, I can't believe it. It's like it's like Fruits Basket Brotherhood, basically. So that's what I keep calling it. And I play video games pretty frequently. I try not to play ones that I'm in, but it's really hard because I'm always really interested in the ones that I'm in.
Do you critique yourself when you watch the stuff you're in?
I try not to as much as possible. I figure that if I don't think about the fact that I'm in it, or if I'm not nitpicking at what I'm doing, that means I probably did a good job. So I try not to focus on that too much. It's usually me just telling my friends in the shows to shut up every time I say something stupid.
Well, what's the game you're playing right now?
I'm working on my second path for Fire Emblem Three Houses. So yeah, that's what I'm in. I'm also playing on and off. I play Final Fantasy 14, which I'm not in, but I really enjoy the Final Fantasy series.
So for you then, if you were playing a game like Tales of Berseria, which you were playing Eleanor in, would you be playing in Japanese then?
No, I played in English. I was so excited about being in Tales. Like, Tales of the Abyss is one of my favorite games on the planet, so I was definitely going to play in English. And even if it was like, I didn't want to play in English necessarily because I didn't want to hear my own voice. Like, I think all the other casts, like, I don't want to, discredit everybody else's work just because maybe I don't want to hear myself for a little bit. Not that the Japanese cast isn't good. Like, there are times when I will, like, just kind of, not compare, but just to kind of get a different feel if I want to play the game again, if there's that option. I'll play it again in Japanese or watch clips on the internet just to hear. Which is actually funny because Amiko Shimizu, who voices Ryuko, is also Eleanor in Berseria, so that's kind of cool. But, just random fact. But yeah, I love everybody else in that cast, so games like that, I play in English, no problem.
Where can our listeners and followers find out more information about you online?
I am on Twitter and Instagram as Tsunderica. It's Tsunderica. It's a play on Tsundere in my name because I'm so funny. And then I have a Facebook page. I don't update it nearly as often as I do Twitter. But if you really want to see like prime Erica, you're gonna follow me on Twitter because it's just me freaking out about like right now it's 3 houses and pictures of my cats. But yeah, that's pretty much where you get candid Erica.
If you had a song to describe yourself, what song would it be?
Oh, gosh, I've never thought about that. Oh no. I'm trying to like Rolodex through all the songs I can remember, which isn't a lot. I mean, I'm the type of person who like when I do, because I do like doing karaoke too, I guess it's also kind of a hobby. I don't do it quite that often, but when I do karaoke, it's usually like Disney songs or musical songs, Broadway things, but so like I don't know too many songs I can think of right now. Oh shoot. I feel like when I moved to Los Angeles, for some reason, just the one song from Tangled really spoke to me. The When Will My Life Begin? I kind of got weirdly emotional listening to that as I was moving because I was kind of sheltered, I think, as a teenager and a child. So being able to like just move out and be on my own for the first time with no like preparedness for it was kind of scary for me. So it felt very much like Rapunzel in Disney's Tangled. I guess I don't know.
You're credited for adaptation in for Dragon Pilot. I was just wondering, how does adaptation differ from script writing?
It's the same thing. It's it's all script adaptation. Okay. So I basically take a translation and then write it to flat for just a timing. Yeah.
Okay. And just I guess your thoughts on Dragon Pilot. I enjoyed it, even though it was kind of weird, but it's funny. And
it's a little weird, but it's a very cute show. I think a lot of people didn't really give it a chance. There are some weird things in it for sure, but it's very cute. And we all worked really hard on it, so I don't regret working on it for sure.
Are you excited for getting to reprise more Promised Neverland when they get it out?
Oh gosh, yes. I love the manga. Like I started reading the manga before we did the show, and I instantly fell in love with it. And I not caught up on the latest few chapters because I wanted for a big chunk to come out because I was reading them in like 5 seconds when they came out, and I was like, I need more. I can't have these cliffhangers; they're too crazy. So I'm really curious where the second season is going to take the story up to because I really am looking forward to the Goldie Pond arc. If who knows what that is. It's obviously, because I read the manga, I know like everything that happens in that, and it's gonna get crazy. Like if people thought the first season was crazy, it just gets so much more intense from there. So I'm super excited for what's to come with that, because I love that series so much.
Apart from Promised Neverland, is there another manga property that you'd be interested to see get an anime adaptation in the future?
Ooh. Gosh, I haven't read too much manga.
Or light novels, or...
Yeah. I know from way back when there was this, what's it called? I don't remember. Oh gosh. Well, I don't think it got animated. There's actually a Clamp series called Clover. They may have had an OVA. I can't remember. It was about like an angel and a guy.
That sounds really
I do remember Clover.
It was really good. I really liked that one. So if they made like a series of that, I would really love to see that. Because I love Clamp stuff to begin with. So I think that story would adapt pretty well.
Piggybacking earlier when you said with now sumo dubs and things are at a much more fast pace, do you think it makes the industry a little bit more difficult for someone who is just getting into it completely new? Or do you think that it makes it easier for them to adapt to the style for voice acting with anime?
It's kind of a little of both. I think the con of it is that like if you don't have as much practice with dubbing, which is a very like specified skill, like it's not easy by any means if you've never done it before. There's no time to learn on the job, so you kind of have to adapt pretty quickly. And if you don't, then there's the chance that they might not use you because they need everybody to go really fast. So if you aren't hitting the numbers, it's less likely that they'll use you as often from time to time. Like sometimes clients or studios just want new names, which is a lot of what you'll, I've noticed a lot of new names for like Texas stuff because they're just pumping out so many shows that they need people who aren't the same people over and over again. Just to kind of freshen things up. But that's why you will see a lot of the same names and stuff. It's because everything's going so fast, even the non-simul does, that they just need people who are efficient and can get the job done in as little time as possible or as much time as they require. Sometimes it is harder for newer people to get in, but every once in a while they'll have openings to where it's like, well, we need a new name here. Because the client is tired of hearing this person, even though they're good. But yeah, so it kind of varies. It's hard to say why or when it happens, but every once in a while you'll see I feel like a big surge of people coming in.
So anyone that's still looking into it is like, well, I don't know if I can handle all that, can still at least get into there.
Potentially, yeah. I don't know, again, how much work would come from it if you can't keep up. But some people adapt quickly. Some people have really good instincts. So.
Keeping on that kind of subject of people coming into voice acting, what would be one piece of advice that you give to a new actor?
I would say, obviously, acting is first and foremost what you want to focus on. Doing voices is great, but if you can't act and you're doing the voices, then it kind of doesn't really do you too much service, I think. But in general, just from me coming from a fan perspective too, because I was a huge fan of anime and video games growing up. So getting to be in this industry is really cool, but you have to realize that you can't attach yourself to a single property or a single character that you really want to voice, even if that audition comes by and you think you're perfect for it. Because chances are there are at least 5 other people that are just as good, if not maybe even better, or maybe they're not better for the character, but for some reason they get cast anyway, because somebody wants to give them a chance for XYZ reason. So it's just good not to kind of attach yourself too much to things, because there's always going to be more things later on. There's a lot of disappointment in the career, so you have to know to let things go and just kind of move forward and keep focusing on bigger and better things, because they're sure to come along at some point.
From an ADR and script writing side of things, what project have you worked on recently has left an impact on you?
I actually directed and wrote a movie called I Want to Eat Your Pancreas. It's a weird title, but it has meaning to it. If you watch the movie, it's one of those like slice of life, like you're probably gonna make you cry at the end of it type of movies. And I had been interested in it before they had asked me to write it, and so I was writing it, and I like super fell in love with it. And then I kept asking them like, who's directing this? And they're like, well, we don't know yet. And I was like, oh, well, wouldn't it be funny if I directed it since I know the most about it? And they're like, oh, well, do you want to? Like, or do you want to do that? So I was like, sure, why not? So that's kind of like, it started my directing career, I guess. And so I was very, very involved in that project, more so than I've really ever been involved with, even like being as a lead character in something. The director is in the booth more than the actor is if you're a lead character, because they're there for everybody, you know. So I had a lot of involvement in that, and just in general, like I said, the movie's incredible, I think. And actually found, maybe this is corny and maybe slightly egotistical, but like some of the stuff I wrote based off the translation, I feel like at times I was applying some of that to my life, because it was a lot of like, you know, it's a lot of like things happen for a reason. Like that's kind of a lot of the message of the story. So it's like no matter the good choices or the bad choices you make, like everything just kind of like comes together in the end in some way that really makes an impact in your life. So I found myself thinking about that a lot for a while after the fact.
If there was one character, didn't matter if it was live action or animation, that you could play from before you were born, who would it be?
Oh, I think we answered this in a panel earlier too. My usual go-to is like, I love the 90s X-Men animated series. So just anyone in that, just really any superhero I think would be really cool to play. Or I don't want to get my hopes up, it's kind of like what I was answering the question a little bit ago, that it was, at panels I would tell people like if they ever remade Fruits Basket, like I'd love to be anything in it, like no matter what, and they've remade it, but it's a Texas product, so, and it's a simuldub kind of, I think it's a simuldub. They're releasing it weekly, at least. It's probably unlikely I'll be in it, but you know, people know that I do like it, so maybe they'll throw me something. But they're using a lot of the old cast too, so which I totally understand. So it'd be cool to be something, but I'm not gonna like let that be, you know, the thing I hang on to, because it's probably not gonna happen. But maybe if it did, snuck off Funimation store like, hey, put me in the thing.
Well, if you get casted, you need to thank us.
Yes.
For it.
I do.
Well, for X-Men, which character would you want to play the most?
I don't know if I'd be good for it necessarily, but I really love like Rogue and Jubilee. I think Rogue would be an interesting challenge because I'm not like super good with accents.
Well, did you hear they actually want to bring back a sequel X-Men cartoon to the 90s series
do
now?
they?
And they might not be able to get all the original cast back.
We'll see. I did just make a new demo. Go print that out to people.
Well, I guess, any final words for our viewers?
Oh, just thanks so much for listening. Thanks for all your support. I'm not a person that necessarily needs the validation or attention, but I love coming to conventions and talking to people because it means something to them, and like therefore like by osmosis it means a lot more to me, because like I love the stuff I work on, I love all my characters and stuff, but it's not until I like go out into the world and talk to other people that I really know how much of an impact it's making, because otherwise it's just me in a booth just talking to myself, you know, and like hearing the final project later. But some of the best moments I think I've had in my career have been going to cons and being able to watch screenings with a room full of people who also enjoy what I've been working on. So it's a really cool feeling, and I've found myself getting really emotional at times, and people have come to me getting really emotional about my performances and characters in general. So it's been a really cool experience, getting to hear everybody's stories, and it feels nice knowing that I'm making some sort of an impact to some form of niche group of people. I think even if that. So.
I may just follow up on that really quick.
Sure.
Do you find, so, how do I put this? In the old days, you'd sit in the booth, record something, months later it would come out, and then months after that you might start getting reactions from people about that. Now simuldubs are basically, record for a week and it's out, and then do you find that feels more rewarding when you have this, like, that more immediate response available?
Yes and no. Because I feel like because we're rushing everything, like I always want it to be the best it can be. So sometimes I feel like because it's like, maybe we don't have quite as much time to spend with the characters. If I had just a little bit more time, I could hone in on it a little bit better. But I mean, if people are liking it, then they're liking it. I'm not gonna, downplay anybody's excitement over something. But for me personally, I don't think it necessarily makes a huge difference. But yeah, as long as the reaction is positive, or even if it isn't positive, like that helps too. As long as people are nice, like there are people who aren't nice, which is a little frustrating at times. But if people are like, oh, I didn't like this because X, Y, Z reason, then you're perfectly valid in saying that. Like, I'm not out there thinking that everyone's supposed to like me. But the people that do, that's why I'm doing it. So kudos to them.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you.